All right, welcome to part two. So now we are reading after you accept the orders, right? So once you accept the judgment and you say, okay, we're going to think like this, we're going to act according to this law, we're going to think in this way in matters of judgment, right? So in everything, we judge everything and we judge everyone by the law.
Yes.
So when you're judging a person, it's based upon what the person did. Almost doesn't count.
Right.
Okay? So we don't do an almost thing. We're not trying to be preventive because the law in itself prevents certain things from happening. So there's no hypothetical situations. What happened? What's the damages? This is the repercussions, and this is what it is. That's all it is. Okay? It's very straightforward. Okay? There's no but and what if and almost and I don't like.
Right.
That's non-existent.
Yes.
So after accepting, the people are giving, right? The people are giving of their own. They're giving their gold that they left with. So each person is holding a part or a piece of the nation's wealth. Okay? So
Yes.
I've only gone through half, and you're like, well, why is this here? Are we going to rebuild this? No. Moses built this. This is not our instruction to build. What we have to build is we have to reconstitute the community. Then we can get back what Moses built. It was preserved. Don't ask about how I know and where is it. Don't ask. That's not the point. Because if you're not accepting this judgment and you're not going to become the people, you're not going to see it.
Correct. Yes.
You can't receive something because of knowing about it. Knowledge is not power. We have to do it. So this is the separation of that time. We're going to continue with this from verse number 9. And you're talking about the conjoining of the curtains, right? It's cubits and everything. And thou shalt conjoin 5 curtains together corresponding with the 5 books of the law and corresponding with the 6 orders of the Mishnah. So the Mishnah is the sectioning, okay? The ordering of the law, okay? And thou shalt fold over the curtain over the front side of the tabernacle. So when you have 10 words, okay? You have 10 words, right? 6 of them, 6 of the words are the actual law, the Mishnah.
No.
6 of them. So you have already received the 10 words, right? So you see the first word is memra, pigdama, leziku. These first 3 words is 1, this is the word of your God.
Yes.
Its laws, its covenants, and its instructions, its ordinance and its statutes. Memra. Okay? Everything that ever has been said or ever will be said, this is, you're going to accept. Okay? Right? Pit Gama. My word, my instruction will be a shield to protect you should all the nations rise above you. So this law will protect you from anything and everything that is coming in the future.
Right.
Leziku. You accepting the law and behaving in accordance with the instruction is accounted to you for righteousness. So the first 3 parts, first 3 words, have to do with you accepting the law and its generalities.
Yes.
You accepting what the law will do for you. And your proof is you're accepting and doing what is required.
Okay.
Okay? The last word of the 10th word is memra.
Yes.
So it starts and it ends with the word of the Most High. It will be forever. And you are sealed inside of this. The other 6 words are the actual judgments and
Right.
the explanations, and he constantly is explaining and refining the explanation of the word.
Right.
Okay? So the 6 words of the Mishnah, this is the law.
So it's not the 10 Commandments, which
Not
we
at all.
have been taught all these years.
Not at all. As a matter of fact, when you come in, you'll see the word commandment. The commandment, that there is one command, and that command is to obey all the law and all of the statutes and ordinances and everything. You have to obey all. There is only one command. I set before you a blessing and a curse this day,
Yes.
life and death. Command, choose life. So these are all the things that will give you life. These are all the things that will restore life. These are
Right.
all the things that will imbue life into your bodies. This is the way to extend life. Okay? Verse number 10 and chapter 26 in the book you see down below. And thou shalt make taches of brass 50, and put taches in the loops, and conjoin the tabernacle that it may be one. And the surplus which remains on the curtains of the tabernacles, the half curtain which remaineth, thou shalt spread over the hind part of the tabernacle, and the cubit here and the cubit there of that which remaineth of the curtains of the tabernacle shall hang over the sides of the tabernacle here and there to cover it. So the tabernacle is an entirely gold building. It's tall. Okay? For those of you who want to know, a cubit is exactly 50 centimeters. That's what a cubit is. Okay? How do you know? We'll get into that another time. There's some questions and answers we have to get deeper for. Right now, take the footnote. I'm telling you what it is. Later on, as we go through this process of learning, we're going to start to prove all things.
Right.
Now, I have to tell you what it is because we have to get past this.
Yes.
And you need to know what a cubit is. Okay?
Yes.
And the cubit there shall cover it. And thou shalt make a covering for the tabernacle of ram skins. So now you have the building and its covering, and all of this keeps the building together.
Yes.
Right? Now they're taking the ram skins and they're dyeing the ram skins red and the covering of purple above. So it's red and purple. This is a colorful building.
Yes, it is.
And it's covered in ram skin. So there's fur on the building. So the building is insulated.
Yes, yes.
You have insulation on the building. And thou shalt make the boards of the tabernacle of sittim wood, right? And that's acacia, right? And they shall stand up after the manner of their plantation. 10 cubits the length of the board, and a cubit the handbreadth of one board, with 2 tenons to one board, each in its side answering to the other. Thou shalt do for all the boards of the tabernacle. Thou shalt make the boards of the tabernacle 20 boards, the wind on the south side, and thou shalt make 40 bases of silver beneath the 20 boards, 2 bases beneath one board with 2 tenons, and 2 bases underneath the other board with 2 tenons. So this is giving you the exact detail. A tenon, I took carpentry. So a tenon is a joint that conjoins into the board. So you have a tenon and you have a socket. So it's like an insertion. So you have a dowel, a dove point, but you can insert to conjoin 2 things together. Okay. The other points of tenons can be conjoined by a ring. So you'll have 2 points like this, and a ring will go around 2 points, and that keeps it from coming apart as well. So if you have it to join or conjoin, it'll join like this, and then the rings will lock it in place.
Oh, okay.
So this is like a tenon, and this is the socket, and it goes inside, and conjoins, and the ring will hang on to the two hooks at the top and hold it in place.
Okay.
Okay? And for the sides of the tabernacle westward, thou shalt make 6 boards, and for the boards thou shalt make at the corners of the tabernacle at the
we
ends.
skipped 20.
Oh,
Yeah.
and for the second side of the tabernacle thou shalt make towards the north wind 20 boards. And there are 40 bases of silver, and their bases under one of the 2 bases under the other board, and for the side of the tabernacle westward thou shalt make 6 boards, and 2 boards thou shalt make at the corners for the tabernacle at their ends. So there's only 3 solid walls in the tabernacle.
3.
There's only 3 walls.
Okay.
So there's a wall coming in on one side and a wall coming in on the other, and a wall across the back. There's 2 special boards for 2 corners. So there's only 2 corner boards.
Okay.
However, there are rods and beams to hold the boards together at the top, joined by rings and tenons and sockets, and pillars in the front.
Oh,
Then it's wrapped together and hooked in to the fabric material first, right? With the angels wrapped around. And then there's the ram skins that go over that. And all of this is hooked into the bases, and everything is locked in place to form a building structure. This is a tent.
yes. That's what I was just thinking. That's
Then you
a
have the
tent.
curtains in the front, right? And you have extra skins that wrap around. Why? In case of inclement weather, you have the ram skins and the other animal skins to close the building,
To keep it heated.
keep it warm, also keep it from blowing away. It is all of it is lashed and hammered down. It's not going anywhere.
Wow.
So the bases have anchor points to be hammered down into the ground. This is not going anywhere. Wind, storm. So everywhere the tabernacle goes, you're not worried about weather.
Right.
It can rain.
Right.
Right? This thing sat outside for 40 years. It was rain, it was wind, it was sun, it was everything, and it was perfectly good. It was sealed and insulated. Right? The skins that were on the outside, this is the leather skins with the fur still on it. Sewn together to make a nice watertight seal.
Wow.
Okay?
24.
Verse 24, and they shall be conjoined beneath, and in one manner shall they be conjoined at their heads, or at the beginnings, with one ring. So I told you there's rings on the top, and the rings will conjoin it at the starting points, working its way around to the end points.
Wow.
So shall it be with both of them, and the 2 corners they shall be, and they shall be 8 boards, and their silver bases, 16 bases, and 2 bases under one board, and 2 bases under another board. So there's 8 boards, 16 bases, the bases conjoined, and the boards conjoined. There's twice as many bases as there are boards.
Right.
Okay? So now the bases are used as conjoinment and the boards are used as conjoinment. So how do you create that? If the board is here, so you have a base and the 2 bases meet in the middle of the board.
Okay.
Right? And then the boards meet in the middle of the base.
Right.
And they will conjoin to be twice as many bases as there are boards.
Wow.
Okay?
26.
And thou shalt make bars of sittim wood for the 5 boards of the one side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the boards on the second side of the tabernacle, and the 5 bars on the one side of the tabernacle at the extremities toward the west, and the middle bar in the midst of the boards, passing from end to end, shall be from the tree which Abraham planted in Beersheba. For when Israel had crossed the sea, the messengers, the angels cut down the tree, cast it into the sea, and it floated on the face of the waters. And the angel proclaimed and said, "This is the tree which Abraham planted in Beersheba, and prayed there in the name of Yahweh, in the word of Yahweh. And the sons of Israel shall take it thereof, the middle bar 70 cubits in length, with its wondrous things. With it shall wondrous things be done. For when they have reared up the tabernacle, it shall go around the tabernacle like a serpent, and a serpentine pattern among the boards of the tabernacle. And when they take it down, it shall become as straight as a rod."
Wow.
So now, some of you are now questioning what in the world is going on with this board. Is it magical? No, it's not. It's craftsmanship. So this board folds up to become one beam. However, the board itself has many multiple joints. And so it can wrap around serpentine-like to go around the building to hold the building together. Then it can collapse down and shrink into one bar and fold.
Yes, because they carried it. So it
Right.
had to be
Remember,
convenient.
the bar only has to go around 1, 2, 3 sides. Now you say to me, how do you know? Told you I'm a carpenter.
Yes.
Right? So I've been a carpenter. I took carpentry early in my youth and just kind of stuck with the craft for a while, hobbying. But once you start knowing the basic mechanics, I went to school for mechanical engineering. And once you start studying the basic mechanics, you start understanding how to make something move. You need hinges and joints and how to make stuff slot and slide. These basic mechanics will make something that you need to be expansive or shrink.
Okay.
So where have you seen this that you know that it's possible, Rabbi Sheikh? You guys ever see those pop-up tents? It works under the same basic mechanical principles.
Okay.
So you make those little pop-up canopies or those pop-up tents, same basic mechanical principles. Okay, those one movements, like a stroller. You women know that one.
Yes, we do.
The instant pop-up stroller.
Yes.
The same mechanics. It's not magic, it's mechanical.
Okay.
So those same basic principles can be compounded and applied to give it strength.
Yes.
And you take the tree and you just cut the tree up into the parts and pieces that you need to make it work.
Okay.
All right. And the boards thou shalt overlay with gold. So they're wooden boards. They're also overlaid with gold. And make of gold their rings. So they also have gold rings for the place of the bars. And shalt overlay the bars with gold. So the bars are gold, the rings are gold. There's a center bar with gold. So again, this is a tent. So you have bars for one side and bars for the other side. You have the center bar down the middle. This is giving strength. It's all pushed and pulled down. Everything is pushing and pulling on each other. Right? Then you have this bar of support around the outside to hold the unit together. And that's wrapped in fabric with just holding it together. Now it's pushing on the bars and the boards and the beams. All of this. Excellent geometry. This is excellent. This is, by far none, probably one of the most extravagant tents.
Wow, yes.
And you're talking, this is all made from cedar wood and wrapped in gold. You're talking about this is immaculate. It's not going to corrode. It's not going to fade. It's not going anywhere. This is built to last forever. And the wood is thick. 30. And thou thou shalt rear the tabernacle according to the manner shown thee in the mountain. Now, this is not a mystery of how it is reared. We'll get to that, okay, in the next book. But we're just going to continue reading. And thou shalt make the veil of hyacinth and purple and crimson and fine linen entwined, the work of the artificer, thou shalt make it, with figures of cherubim. So the figures of angels, the kerubiah, are on the walls.
Okay.
Okay? And thou shalt range it upon 4 pillars of sitta, and cover it with gold, their hooks of gold, and upon 4 bases of silver. And thou shalt place the veil under the taches, and bring thither within the veil the ark of the testament. So we only have one testament.
Yes.
One.
One.
You call it the old one. I call it the only one.
One. Correct.
We don't need a new one. This one is perfect. And thou shalt spread the veil for you between the holy and the holy of holies. So you have a holy place, and then there's a holy of holies. And this is inside. And thou shalt place the mercy seat with the kerubiah produced of a beaten work, for in it the holy of holies. Okay? And thou shalt set the table outside the veil, and the candelabrum over against the southern side of the tabernacle. But the table thou shalt arrange on the northern side.
Okay. Quick question. Where it speaks about the cherubim being on the walls and they're being on the ark. There are 3 different types of messengers. So why the cherubim specifically?
There are 3 different types of angels.
Yes.
Okay? So when I say messengers, because one, there's angels of people too. So to know the difference, if he says the kerubiah, now he's talking about the angels, right?
Okay.
So the kerubiah is the ones with all the wings. You see them, and they have wings covering their faces, covering their feet, covering their bodies, their hands, right? And wings on their back. This has many wings.
Okay.
This the kerubiah, right? And they are covering things, right? The Most High meet you there. They are always in service. They are always working, but they don't look upon the holy things.
Wow.
Okay? So just like the Levites themselves, when they are putting things together and taking things apart, they are not permitted to look upon the holy things. Okay? Each one that is responsible for his part and his portion must go in, wrap and cover his portion for service to be moved or transported before the next team can come in and start rearranging and moving their parts and portions.
Okay.
So there is a procession of teams, one team at a time, because just because you're a Levite, you can't touch it all.
Right.
So it's designated by tribes, portions, who has what responsibility and what they're doing and what they need to do, and everything has an order to it.
Okay, so within the Levites, there are families within the Levites that are responsible for each part.
Right.
Okay.
So if you look at it, the high priest is like a seraphim, like the ark, like an archangel. Okay. Now, the high priest is a seraphim, but also the princes are seraphims.
Okay.
Why? Because the prince also goes in to receive instruction when called. This is why there's a table there. The prince goes inside with the high priest, and they are taking a recording. The Levite is a witness. Also, there is singing. So there's people present in the holy place, right? Giving praise and worship to God with singing. There's people around it with singing and with enjoyment and expressing their love and adoration to God. But this is on a regular, everyday basis. This is not a special day kind of thing. Okay? It's not a 1 day a week thing. This is going on
24/7.
24/7. So there's always this happening. Okay? You have you have the seraphim, then you have the cherubim. These is like the rest of the Levites that are doing service in the temple, and the rest of the cabinet, the administration.
Okay.
Okay? They don't really see the holy thing, but they are conducting the service. Right? Then you have the next level down, which is the Ophanim, the one that is most popular from Ezekiel chapter 1, the wheels and the wheels. Now the Ophanim can be placed, a person can be placed inside of an Ophanim. Okay? A person can be inside of an Ophanim. So when someone has a task to do, right? The Ophanim doesn't possess the person. The person receives the instruction, accepts the task, and then Ophanim is with him. And he goes and does what he needs to do. So, and when you read, we'll get there. I'm not going to divulge too much, but there is a scripture where it says the person goes into an Ophanim and receives the instruction of the law. Okay? It's the same way when Moses went to go receive the law by himself. He receives it from Zagnuel. Zagnuel is an Ophanim. So he goes inside of this to study this. So he's sitting, there's a burning bush and everything is there and present, but he's going inside this holy place. The ground which you stand on inside of this place is entirely holy. You enter in.
So at the burning bush, it wasn't actually Yah in the burning bush. It was actually the Ophanis.
The Ophanim, and he creates this, and you're having an interaction, and it has to be for you to understand. But remember, Moses goes into a place, and he is surrounded. Everything in this space, in this place, is sacred. The ground, the walls, everything. So it's a makeshift tabernacle at that time.
Similar to a portal, like going into a portal, or kind of?
Not a portal, but because he goes into what is like a cave.
Okay.
So he goes into the cleft of the rock. It's like a cave.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So when you go into like this cave, it's encompassing. So the cave now is acting as a tabernacle.
Wow.
Because it has to be covered. Okay?
Yes.
What happens? We'll be back with part 2 to this video in 1 second.
Wow, that is it's like it went into another dimension.
All right. So we're back. Here we go with part 2. So it's not a portal.
Right.
Right? What happens is it's hollowing the area, the space. Okay? So when the space becomes hallowed, like it's sanctified. So there's 2 different types of experiences. When Yah himself shows up, everything starts melting.
Wow.
Right? So you got this in chapter Number 19 in chapter 20, when they're talking about Yah himself appeared before the people in the darkness of a cloud. He said the mountains started melting, the earth started shaking, everything. There was nothing
Right.
it couldn't contain what was happening.
Yes. That's why they ran 12 miles away.
The creation cannot contain it. Right? But he's showing up anyway, and he's showing you, listen, I am that I am. And will be.
Yes.
Right? I am.
Right.
Okay? And he's here to make a covenant agreement with you. And he keeps one half of the agreement, and you have your half of the agreement. Okay? So we'll get into that. It'll get explained about the covenant agreement and why we wear it, and what it is a sign of. It is this, you can't just wear it, you have to actually participate.
Right.
So he goes into this cave. This cave is acting as a tabernacle, taking off his shoes. It's the same thing when they go to serve in the tabernacle, which they are ordered to make. Okay? This is now of your work, of your hands. You will work and you will make it according to my specifications, and I will meet with you here. They have to take off their shoes when they enter into the tabernacle. So there's rugs everywhere.
Wow.
This is a Bedouin thing. There's rugs. Okay, you wash your feet. Would you wash your feet to walk on dirt?
No.
There's rugs inside. So we have the rugs and everything else. This is customs and traditions I'm discussing. So now when you enter into the tabernacle, the whole place is holy. The whole place is made precious and from the best materials. The Most High has told you how to combine them, to make this everlasting. And now you go into this place, and this place is now sacred and holy. After you just set up for the Most High, that's it. Everybody comes here, and you come here to pray. Now, prayer is not what people think it is. Okay? Prayer is a two-way street.
Right.
It's communication. You can come and request what you need, and you can also be given an instruction.
Right.
Okay? Now, on this side of prayer, at this moment, at this time, you're here to receive an instruction because your request has already been made. So before you can get, or see the thing you have asked for, you're going to have to now obey the instruction. You see? So what I'm teaching is before the Most High has already made known what your request is. What? You don't have land, you don't have a nation, you don't have a people yet. You are a scattered people all over the world that you want to be regathered. Okay. He's heard your request. He has heard your complaint. You're tired of being oppressed. You're tired of being poor. You're tired of being looked down upon and looked down at. And you're looking for unification. You're looking to rebuild. Here is the instruction. Okay? So now, the instruction now for us in our time, the same way the tabernacle was built, we must build a sanctuary.
Yes.
A safe place. So we must all join in together, pay to buy large quantities of land and to build buildings. Okay? We're not building projects. This is not a project. Okay?
Right.
We are building buildings of homes, businesses, and we'll be recalibrating ourselves to be self-sufficient and independent, that we may continuously generate generational wealth. Okay?
Right.
Now, this brings me to the next part of my conversation. We're going to create a explainer video. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead on and pay someone to do this, and we're going to do an explaining video, and we're going to show the process of creating generational wealth a group at a time. Okay? Because I don't think that people understand the lawful process here, because it's not part of the system. It's not a profiteering capitalist system. Neither is it a communist system. Okay? It is completely different. Okay? There is no system where the entirety of the banks are held with the people. Okay? So the thing y'all would think about is a credit union. The credit union is still a building, and you must place your wealth inside that building, and it is held by that people. Right? The Federal Reserve started out, and the people gave and received notes, and you could take the notes and get your gold back. Then they changed it. Now nobody can get the gold out the Federal Reserve no more.
Wow.
So they stole. So this system doesn't work. It is absolutely corrupt. Your money have no value. Now you cannot go and get your silver or gold back unless you buy the silver or gold from a market or an exchange in which they charge you, and you don't get equal value. You can buy the silver back, but it's going to be less value. Well, now silver is so cheap because they kind of perverted the market. You can buy more silver because silver's been devalued. So silver is an excellent purchase, but gold is so astronomical in value, the comparison is almost not the same. They keep gold overpriced and overvalued so that only the wealthiest can convert their money back into gold. And we're not talking about carats, because carroted gold is garbage, it's trash. Okay? You want pure gold. You want 100% gold bars, gold coins, gold. You want pure. You want pure silver. You don't want, even if it's pure silver jewelry, you want pure silver, pure gold. So these precious metals are true currency. They are the true assets. We're going to be buying gold, right? But it's going to be distributed throughout the community for savings. Throughout the community. So every household will have a trust within it where gold is kept. Okay? So now, as we accumulate, it is held throughout the community. It's not spent outside the community. Whenever we want to get anything, we come to the community, and the community facilitates it. We buy, we make the exchanges, and the people continue to grow. And the people work, they earn more money, they earn money, and that money is reinvested back into the community, and the person still gets to have and buy the things that they like, the things that they wish, the things that they want, the things they desire. With money, the gold remains in the community.
You know, I think a lot of times with a lot of us that are coming out, we're coming out with the mindset of individual inheritance, individual wealth, when that's not how our law is so much established. It's more about community, family. That's why we're a tribe, because our wealth is together.
So and you'll see this in the explainer video. So when you come together as a group, and that group jointly buys 1,000 acres of land, well, now you have land. Now you have a choice. You're either going to destroy the land to take what's underneath, somewhere in the ground, hoping there's something precious underneath the dirt. You're going to take it, you're going to destroy the land and take the precious things out of the ground. Or you're going to cultivate the land.
Right.
Okay? So if you decide you're going to cultivate the land, now the land, you're going to put seeds or animals and livestock and housing, and you're going to produce something. Now, our system, we produce end to end. It's a process. We're not going to start. Oh, that's the door. Hold on. Okay, so we're back. All right. So the system, generational wealth, must be built within a system. It's not what people think. People think about themselves. People think, okay, how can I get rich for me and my family? And then the family only consists of them, their spouse, and the next generation. And what have you seen from the Western or the European system? The wealth doesn't even transfer to the next generation.
Right.
That's because it's not built into the system for you.
Right.
Right? It's built into the system for them, but not for you.
Right.
Now we have the opportunity to build it into the system for us. So we have our own system, we have our own way. Now we're going to have to be responsible about this. And it's not for everybody. So people who disagree, don't show up.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
In 2 years, when we're sitting on a few billion, you missed. It's guaranteed to win. Okay? Because the system is flawless.
Right.
What it does is it says, okay, we come in as a group, what we buy as a group, that wealth never gets lost. So when we buy land and then we develop it and we put houses and buildings on it, each person has the same amount.
Right.
So wait, what?
Yes.
If we invest and we make a $6 million community, okay?
Right.
We build $6 million worth of land, real estate, and start establishing businesses. Those businesses, those houses, the value of everything for that group of people, for that $6 million investment, as soon as it's done, completed, it now becomes $30 million in value.
Wow.
Instantly. Because you say, what do you mean? How did the $6 million investment become $30 million in value? Because it becomes 5 times what it's worth. Right? Because that in the first year, each apartment has its market value. All right? So the market value of each apartment is what that will generate in rent. The supermarkets and the stores to sustain the community and the rent from the medical facilities and the child care needs and everything else, all of those rents that come in, be it we bring in local business people and experts and practitioners, and we still facilitate from ourselves, that now revenue is going to skyrocket your profitability. Right? So now the people haven't even moved in, but you have this inherent and intrinsic value. Once they move in, it now takes another leap. Because you have now the accounted for revenue. You know your supermarket is bringing in $30,000 a month. And you're turning over products regularly. The people who came with you to start this project now work in the supermarket. They're receiving a salary, and a portion of their salary comes back into the community. Why? Because every person needs to be aware of their investment. And the community must continue to expand. What do we need? What is our number one commodity in our community? It is our people. So we have to build more space, bring back more of our people.
So that means more land, more business,
more houses.
So it's constantly growing.
Right. And we can accommodate for people who don't have.
Yes.
So now we can create opportunities for training, for mentoring, for everything. right? If this community was built when Dr. Sebi was alive and he was here in this community, Dr. Sebi would still be alive.
Right.
Right? And there's a lot more Dr. Sebis out there, right?
Yes, it is.
There's a lot more brilliant minds and engineers that just need to come in and be facilitated by a collective. You see? And so by facilitating them, and we keep our stuff non-destructive. So we're always looking for practices that are natural and practices that are non-toxic, practices that are organic, because we want to employ people.
Right.
So we want our people to come back and have a vested interest, and we can pay them and the community because this is the artisan. We are making artisans now. We're not getting into any more of this industrial, the industrial age has died.
Right.
So we're getting out of the industrial. We want craftsmanship. We want artisanry, right? So we're getting into natural and organic fabrics, natural and organic materials, no chemical byproducts. And we'll keep growing. This wealth that comes in, right, it blossoms. And now each person of the community, right, is a share partner. So the community's worth 120 million. The individuals are worth. Battery died. We came back. So the community's worth 120 million. The individual is worth 120 million because we are a collective. So now you have children. You still have to build more space, right? But you're building faster than the people can come. So this is why we need the head start. We need to start getting the revenue in. We need to start building before you come.
Right.
Right? Because every family of our kin that comes in, we want to rapidly expand them and get them into a house to where they have the house for themselves.
Right.
Right? The contribution that's coming in, the workers that's coming in, everybody that's coming in, it comes back, it goes back into the community. Every child is a billionaire. Then when you expand out, then you start to have more land than you can develop at a time. Because of the way the system is designed, it's rapid expanding. So now when it's time to take whole families out. So you have a guy, you have his wives, his sons' wives, and they take care of livestock and they have 200 sheep. Well, give them this and have them continue in this.
Right.
But you begin to expand out the industry, right? The same thing when you're buying, and you do this end to end. So you start from backwards, moving forwards. What do I mean by that? Starting from end to end, since our plan is comprehensive to be end to end, we're not stopping anybody else's products and anything else. Their products are great. We're not sanctioning anybody, and your product is great. We're just going to make our own too.
Right.
So you start out with the products we have, like say this shirt. Okay? We don't just take this shirt and just whoever makes it, we just sell it.
Right.
No, we're going to take the shirt. We're going to make the materials we're going to get the materials to make the shirt. So now we start selling our own fabrics and making our own clothes. Now we're going to start somewhere, start a field, and we're going to grow the cotton. Then we're going to get the textile machines, and then we're going to start producing the cotton. So you've got the cotton, you start making the threads, and now we put our threads in our stores. Right? And it's available to our community to make our clothes. We put our textile cottons and we put them in our stores as well, and we can make our own clothes, and then we make our own clothing brands, our own everything, but it's within the community.
Right.
So we work end to end. If anybody is interested in our stuff and our brand and our brands and our design, they're welcome to buy from us.
Right.
But we have our own. It's end to end. So the same thing this works with cotton, with linen, the same way this works with food. So we don't just buy finished food products. We have raw materials. So we are producing our own flour. We're producing our own rice. We're producing our own wheat. We're producing our own vegetables, corn, and herbs, and to have a larger and a larger variety. So you may start with the staples and start growing those, and you have those fields, and then you start growing more. You start getting more, but it's the collective. So rather than it be the individual, and he's trying to sell it, the individual is not trying to sell it. He knows exactly where
His product is going.
Your product is going. It's going here, and we're going to have, and I have everything that I need. And if I want to get something, I can just have it, right? So the logistics, right? So when you're working within the community has to work out the logistics. So you give a guy this farm, and you have people there, and they're working, and they're growing. They're a family, and this is the farm that they're working. Well, how does he get the products from the farm to the store? Now the community can go take from its collective wealth,
right,
and buy whatever trucks you need, and then employ the sons of the community to drive the trucks, go pick up the stuff, and bring it to the stores.
Right.
Because you're going to end up with multiple communities. Because you don't create an island. You buy a large swath of land, you do the same thing. You take a large chunk, you develop the community, even if it's agricultural. But everybody who's going to be in that area, they're going to live there, they're going to eat there, they're going to work there.
Right.
And they have the vested interest because everything that they're working for, there's a portion that they can keep and their share, and there's a portion that always comes back to the community. And in this way, after 40 years, the community tax or the contribution to the community will cease. Right? You say, how do you get that to cease? Because at that point, you will have taken so much land and purchased so much land and so many different cities and communities. You don't need the tax. You just distribute it to the people who are working it. The system is set and established. You can grow and focus on other things. You will have become a state. You will have become a powerful, recognized, and unified people in 40 years. There is no other way.
Right.
So unless we come together to work as a collective, then you cannot produce and become and be the people of the book.
Right, right. And listening to how we're doing things, as parents and with our children, being in this environment, yea, forbid, but if something happened to me as a parent, I know that my child will be okay. He will be among family. They will be taken care of, and those are things you have to consider because myself, once being a single parent, I yearned from that, from my church family, and I could never find that,
Well, again, you're looking at that from a church family.
Yeah.
That will never produce it.
Right.
It never has produced it.
Right.
So what we're doing now is we're forming small groups of colonies, and then you can expand out to form cities.
Right.
Now, instead of your son leaving, he doesn't leave.
He can stay within.
You're in the building. Where's he going?
Right.
If he has a wife, the wife come into his new apartment in the building.
Right.
Where's he going? He's not going anywhere. You see? So you're going to foster these relationships. He's not leaving. You're not going anywhere. There's nowhere to go.
And so with people with small children, another family can take upon those children as their which would be orphans. We take them on, and
Same
they
thing.
continue to grow.
They grow in the same way. They grow as sons. They don't leave the household.
Right.
So we take care of our own. We raise our own. This son is not going out. This is the children are the crown jewel of the community. So they're here to be protected. They're here to be taught, and they're here, and they're already looking at
right
the wealth. They're not going anywhere. Your son goes the furthest is next door.
Yes.
What? Next door. You're expanding upon so much land. Okay, he doesn't go far. He builds the same house, a similar style, and he grows and he takes that and he now does the same thing you did. It's the same system. Okay, you have larger markets. You have more variety of food. You begin to bring in more. More diversity, right? There's more restaurants, more different food styles, and you expand with diversity, but everything's coming into you. You're the pot. So if you don't create the community pot, there's nothing to fill it. 1 second. Okay? So you're the community pot. You have to create the pot and fill it. So because we don't have the community, right? We don't have community.
No, we
right?
don't.
You have a bunch of different variations of religious organizations, and your community is you're federalized under the federal government. Right now, we're telling you to come out from the federalized federal government and form this
community,
this kingdom community, right? A very small community. And you could say, well, other people have tried this and failed. Yes, they've tried it in other Western civilizations.
Right.
We're doing this now from within the kingdom with the permission to be a kingdom. There is no law against this. So we have permission and the opportunity to formulate our community structure and our kingdom guidelines underneath this law, meaning that when it's Shabbat, the community Shabbats. When it's time to gather to pray, the community gathers to pray. Do we facilitate to the outside community? Yes, of course.
Yeah.
We're doing business.
Right.
At large.
Right.
Okay? So we still do international trade. We're still making connections and things. But the beautiful part is everybody here wants to do business with you.
Yes. Yes, they do.
And they don't want to do small business.
No, big business.
Nobody here wants to do small business. The person who makes sofas, he wants to put the sofas in all you buildings, tell him what style you want.
Yes.
The person that does the curtain fabric here, he doesn't want to do, 2-3 windows. He wants to do for all the buildings.
Right.
So we're not doing small business here. Not saying you can't do small business.
Right.
But that's not what we're doing. So yes, the outside community and this money that we use outside, they're coming also inside to take from our products and services. So our products and services not only will be for us, but we have distribution chains to distribute it to the other stores. So we have to work into and build production facilities and production sites. And we have to call in various experts to keep our quality and our storage of products, up to our standards, because everything has to be somewhat fresh. Things that can be preserved will be preserved, but we don't want to put a lot of preservatives,
right.
or chemicals. We're not doing anything chemically good, chemically based.
Right.
So we're talking about natural hair care and beauty products. Yeah. The entire community is working on this as a collective. Right? So we have many different brands, but they're all coming in under the community collective so that you have variety.
Right.
And more than one person can work on the same product.
Right.
And they're going to have various different blends because guess what? There's various different types of people.
Exactly.
So people who have a person who has oily skin and they make something that works for them, that's going to work for a lot of people who have oily skin. The person who has dry skin, they're going to make products that work for them. So the expansion is infinite. Right? To a point. It only appears infinite in idea. Why? Because we stop buying land once we've taken our state back, once we bought back in our area and our region.
Yes. So pretty much, as you were saying with the skincare, if this person makes oil for oily skin, they could just focus on making their products for oily skin. They don't have to try to do oily combination, dry, all at one time.
You don't have to, nobody has to focus on everything. So what happens is, the one thing that you got great, we're going to use that and facilitate that throughout the community and outside and abroad. And what comes back from that, a portion goes to you and a portion goes to the community.
Yes.
Right? This way we start to build in generational wealth, and it's tangible.
Yes. Right.
It's tangible. Okay? So you have to understand, like, until we build our own eco bubble to live in, our own system to live in, this capitalist system will not produce for us. Now, coming outside and into the Arab world, this is not foreign. This is actually hailed as a righteous and noble thing. So you have your family, you have your group. This is the things you guys produce, and our area that they look for us to come in. They're looking for us to be holistic. They are looking for us to be healthy, right? So you're talking about fitness and sports. You're talking about, and when I say sports, I mean non-combative. Okay, non-combative sports. So fitness, sports, to be healthy, like natural foods and remedies, right? You got all the chemical stuff in the world right now. What don't we have? We don't have people, actually stores that produce healthy, balanced meals for people.
Right.
So we have to make this. And you're talking about more use of fresh herbs. And, we have more variety of herbs in the stores here than you do in the States.
Yes.
We can buy purslane here. Most of you don't even know what purslane is. It's an herb that has more nutrition than kale. And you guys consider it a weed in the States. It grows in the cracks of the sidewalks, and you just step right over it.
Wow. When I first came here, and as I observe and as I watch, the biggest thing that I recognize is that the inhabitants here of this land is the example of how we are and was to be.
Yes.
Yeah, I learned a lot from
this. This is how this city is getting built. Okay? So if you want to know what we are doing now, we are literally building our own governance, our own federal governance, where we are confederate amongst ourselves, meaning we are in agreement. We have an agreement amongst ourselves. This is our agreement. This is our law. So by accepting this order, by accepting it and coming to build and exchanging your wealth, right? You're going to take your money and you're exchanging it now for your heritage, your possession, right? And we're going to continue to exchange in getting the possession of the land until we have the fullness of it. But we're going to create a monster machine of buying power.
Yes, and it's not going to be something done in haste. It's going to take time, but it's up to our viewers
it's gonna take time.
donating. We can get more and more the ball
You're
rolling.
talking about having the entirety of our people reunited over 40 plus years.
Yes.
The entirety. Over 40 plus years, right? So you're talking about, that's a very powerful movement, right? Will all of us be here? No, because the war is happening a lot faster than you think, and a lot of people gonna die. And I promise you, you're not gonna like it.
Yes.
Nobody's gonna like it. I'm not gonna like it. We're all going to lose a lot of people because it's going to war. All right. The Great Awakening is happening, and everybody is going to pick their side, and individuals is not going to work.
Right.
You've been surviving inside of a system, and now that system's falling apart. And if you don't create the new system, you're not going to survive. And believe me when I tell you, like, you know, we have to employ our own and pay them, because working outside of the community, you will not receive fair pay, right? Because everybody has their own family setups, their own structures, their own businesses, and they are aiding and supporting amongst themselves and their affiliations. All right. Now, I happen to be affiliated with a bunch of engineers, and this is what we do. This is what we build. All right. We each one is contributing to the next one's success to continue this. Okay. What I'm telling us is we need to exchange our buying power. You need to invest here. Inside of a year, we're going to turn a $12 million purchasing program inside of 1 year into a $120 million wealth conglomerate inside of 1 year.
And
right?
it definitely can be done here.
And here's the thing. Here's one thing people don't even know. The dinar is stronger than the U.S. dollar.
Wow.
Right? So the dinar is worth more than the U.S. dollar, and is now today more stable than the U.S. dollar. So you can go anywhere in the world and look at it. Jordan is not under attack. Jordan is a stabilized kingdom in the region. They consider the region to be unstable because they're attacking it, but there is nothing with Jordan.
Well, it's considered one of the top safest place to be and live.
It is. And again, you know, we are so grateful to the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan because this opportunity, you need a safe place. So we're going to come into Jordan, and we're going to grow in Jordan, and we're going to eventually move into our own region.
Yes.
Okay. So it's going to take time. All right. This time right now is time for investment, which is needed immediately before the dollar falls. Because if you get caught with the American dollar when the war starts, right now all the richest people are buying gold. You can buy silver. Good luck traveling with it. You know, you can only travel with a certain amount.
That's right.
There's a limited amount that you can travel with on public airways, and even privately, it's It's very tricky with borders and customs. You're going to have to buy your way in. It's very expensive. But if you're talking about joining part of the collective, you right now can exchange your money, invest in land, and have a possession here. And this will continue to grow and profit you as part of the collective. And when you get here, you will have that tremendous community buying power. You will have that tremendous community backing and support. You will be part of the community system according to this law and this judgment. This is why accepting and giving were placed behind each other. I've given you the judgments, and I've showed you how after they received the judgments and they agreed to live under the covenant law, they gave financially for the building of the tabernacle. Now we're giving for the building of the sanctuary. Why? We are so far gone.
Right.
As a people, we cannot build this. There's no way for us to build the tabernacle at this time.
Right.
We have details, we have the instructions, we can take the information and rebuild it. But where's the gold coming from?
Right.
They left with gold and silver and wood and curtains, and they were told to gather those things before they left. However, for us, we have a different instruction. Okay? 1 second. All right, we're back. So for us, we have a different instruction. Our instruction is found in the book of Jeremiah chapter 50, right? It tells us to buy land. Okay? So we're going to go and we have the rights to buy land. So we're going to gather people, take witnesses, and continuously buy land. Okay? We're buying land. From the beginning, I'm telling you, right? We're buying land. Yesterday, we went out and we looked at 4,000 square meters for the first plot. It's on a developing neighborhood, and we wanted to start on the main street. However, I'm looking at the neighboring lots because we're going to build the community. So we have a community plan, and it's going to be beautiful. In the coming videos, you're going to see pictures of the buildings that we're going to build for ourselves, the design and structure. So some buildings will be just housing units. Other buildings will be business and housing. So because the people in the community, like I said, you need to go to the store and shop. We need clothes, products, everything, We'll have a jewelry store. We have, and like I said, because for everything that can be bought and sold, for everything that is on the market, we have to have end to end.
Yes.
So we have our own jewelry makers. We'll have our own smelting processes. We have our own production processes for anything and everything that we need.
Right.
Our own livestock. We are going into livestock because end to end. If you have land and you need fertilizer, animal poop is free if you got the animals. So we don't have to buy chemical fertilizers. We can use natural ones.
Right.
And we have a process of agriculture which works to benefit us.
Right.
Organically. Right? It's not expensive. Is it work? Yes, but you're not worried about wealth because you already are wealthy in joining in the community, because the moment you put your hand in here, right? And the moment we purchase the land and start building the buildings, right? It's the land and 3 buildings, and say we start there, and that's $6 million. Immediately, the value of the entire estate multiplies by 5. If you were going to sell it, you would sell it for 5 times the amount because the work is done. This is craftsmanship. So it's not anything to scoff at. Right. The same way people buy a product, right, and you sell it for 5 times as much, and you ship it from China. China, for this product, worked end to end. So they're able to sell it to you for cheap.
Yes.
Now the cost of shipping it and then selling it to a profitable market, you can sell it 5 times as much.
Right.
Because you're bringing it to market. Right? China has now conquered the world with an end-to-end process. They make everything and it's end-to-end. A machine. Right? Don't believe what anybody tells you. This is a machine and they are end-to-end. Right? So you look at the Chinese empire, this is what they're set up to do.
Right.
We have to have this, and you can do it on a small scale.
Yes. But we have to start.
You have to start.
And it takes you.
It absolutely does. It takes us.
Us coming together.
I'm not interested in the war. Let them fight.
Right.
We, as a people, have to prepare for the next step. Don't get in this war. Don't get involved.
Oh, the scripture that tells us, the prophet said for us not to get involved with the war.
We have no involvement. This is their fight. The Most High is making our enemies fight with themselves. Let them.
Right.
However, while they're fighting, we need to be building. We need to buy as much land as possible. We need to build as fast as possible. And we need you to come in as well. So you say, well, how long does it take to build? It takes 3 months to completely finish a building. Why? We have the engineers already. We have the designs. We know what we're looking at. We know the architecture that we want. And we know the first buildings we want to build.
Right. The plans are already drawn out.
That's finished.
Yes.
Okay? So we already know what's immediate. So the plans are drawn out. We know we want the first building is actually going to be a building with a supermarket and housing inside. Right? We already know what we need because we need to have and generate and be able to feed people and to be able to receive people. Right? So we already have this. It's already done. We already are looking at other investments. Right? So the community itself is also investing in other projects in tourism, in different areas, and also in facilitating housing for educational facilities. So these are investments that we have been invited to facilitate here in the Kingdom of Jordan as well, and we're going to make these.
Yes.
So, and this is employment again for people who are coming. Right? They come in, they're maintaining this, they're receiving a paycheck, but this is not the paycheck, is not their value.
Right.
There's a difference. Your paycheck is your spending money, right? And giving you something to do while you are here and teaching you how to maintain the community wealth, which you now have in hand.
Right.
Okay? So we have community wealth in hand that has to be maintained. So we're teaching you through work how you build it, how you maintain it, because this affects everybody.
Right.
One building gets dilapidated, the entire community's value goes down. So if we lose $1 million building, everybody is upset because everybody lost $1 million.
Right.
We all lost $1 million. Now we all have to contribute back to rebuild $1 million building. See? This is how it works. So is this part of their system? No.
Not
Right?
where you're at.
Nope.
No.
Nope. Nope. You're talking about a tribal bank where the wealth of the tribe is dispersed among the people, and when called upon, the people contribute freely? This exists where?
Nowhere.
Nowhere. All right? It works, this way works, and it's our law. You get into a law, if we acquire gold, right, it gets split 50%. So 50% goes to the governing forces, and 50% goes to the people to be dispersed. There's a law. It's split 50-50.
50. That's the law.
So the governing forces get 50%, and the community itself receives 50%. They're holding it. Now, when called upon and we needed to build something, everybody give.
Right.
Everybody must make a contribution. There's no strain in that. The support, the community network and supports the whole. Nobody is leaving. There's nowhere to go. You're talking about many mansions. We're not talking about. This is not a big mansion and you just live in it by yourself, just you.
Right.
Although you can build that in the future, right? Because you're not worried about food. You're not worried about. You're not worried about food. You're not worried about housing
And clothing.
right? Everybody's able to produce that freely, right? The more communities, the more production. We're not worried about those things.
And you know, those whose desires is in agriculture, in growing food, you can be focused on just one thing to grow. You don't have to try to grow everything.
And again, this is also part of the community plan.
Yeah,
like,
you know.
We're talking about, you're taking fields, and each field is exactly just to produce a lot of one thing.
Right.
And then we expand and grow out. And I know some people are like, this is like agriculture, but I don't know what I don't know why y'all talking about this. We got computers. Well, when you get hungry and them store shelves is empty, make sure you lick your computer screen with the pictures of food on it that you used to have.
Right. And if there's war, the system goes down. You don't have no access to your computer.
You're not going to have access to anything. So it's important, and I'm glad we're having this talk, and I'm glad we're having this discussion, because I know sometimes you are reading a thing and you're not understanding the purpose of the story. You're not understanding the purpose and the proofs of how you accept a covenant.
Right.
The covenant must be accepted. I am reading it to you. I am told you who I am. There's a documentary on this same YouTube platform that you can watch. I've been on the news and everything has been proven.
And you somewhat have done a taste of this before. So
I've done this before.
This is not new to you.
I've done this before, but what I did was to set up for the second phase.
Right.
All right? So my establishment in building the second phase is already done. Now, phase one is I have to establish you here.
Right.
And then let things play out while we're growing and developing our community wealth, because phase two, we have to repeat the process to transfer from Jordan and other scattered sites to phase two.
Right.
So phase two is let's build and develop the community and also sift out, any bad elements. Because this law has to be perfected moving into phase two. So this is our processing plan, right? If you won't accept the laws here,
Here, you're definitely not going to do it over there.
you're not gonna do it in our region. You're not gonna do it. So we have these facilities to, one, teach, train, and facilitate, and to teach you how to build up the resistance to keep your laws, your culture in the proper way without it being abrasive to other people, without converting other people. Has nothing to do with them. This law is just to your benefit. This community is just to your benefit.
Right.
Join, not join, we don't care. It's so successful, we don't care if you join or not.
Right.
It's so perfect, I don't care if you become part of it or not.
Yes.
You see? So this is the process. And so we're having this discussion and we're explaining it to you. And there's going to be an explainer video. I told you this in the beginning. I'm telling you this now at the end. There's going to be an explainer video so that you can see in a simple form that even the child can do it.
Yes.
About why you're contributing, why we have to reach our goals. I have to turn 12 million into 120 million, and I need to do it in a year. Why? Because I know I'm going to start getting more people in, because that's our number one commodity. Our number one commodity is our people. So we're investing in people, we're investing in gold, we're investing in land, and we're investing in growing food and in high quality livestock. This is where our investment is. These things never fail.
Right.
And so investing in producing end to end, right? To produce a platform of community wealth. From a platform of community wealth, the individual automatically becomes wealthy because it's built into the system.
Yes. Yes.
Right? So he doesn't lack. Okay?
And there's no poor among us.
There's no poor among us. Okay? So we can arrange everything that's necessary for us for the next step is with your cooperation. So please check the links below. Join us. Join our podcast. It's public now, so join now while it's public.
Right.
Before it goes into private, because as this progresses along, we're going to start building up numbers very quickly, especially when things start taking a turn. I promise you, there's no peace for you. And this is nothing is de-escalating. It's getting worse and worse. It's getting more and more hostile. And the environment's going to continue until there's not only international war, but local wars. Right? Don't participate in none of this war business. Don't. Invest your money here. You know, people who live in like smaller countries, right? You know, everybody says I'm sending money back home. Right? So the Indians, they work in America and in Europe, and they send the money from there back home.
Right.
And their family builds them houses and make sure they have cars and transportation and vehicles and everything else. Right?
Yes, they do.
They do this in Jamaica. What are you doing?
Mexico.
And Mexico.
Yes.
They go and they take the money from these high-powered nations right now, and they're sending it in droves back home.
Right.
This is your turn. This is your time.
An opportunity.
An opportunity to send money back home. Okay? We're not building a church.
No.
There'll be places of prayer and teaching of the law, and we will get into those, and that's a daily thing. That's not a
once a week.
Not a once a week.
Or twice a week.
Twice a week thing. This is an everyday thing. So we will have this practice, but we will have our own governance. All right? We are actively right now looking to build, to receive the first 70 men right? To be part of the Great Sanhedrin, to reform the Sabaim, the Council of 70, right? And we're looking to have this reestablished. Now, it's going to take some time.
Yes.
It's going to take time. Because just because the first 70 men show up doesn't mean it's the first 70.
Exactly.
Like I said, you have to prove yourself through the dedication and the process and the diligence. So we are building here. We want to see you here. So check out our store to support us. Check out the links to donate below. Again, my people, I love you with this law.
Yes, yes. And just want to say, so many of us have had these ideas, have had these thoughts of being a part of something like this. Well, you don't have to dream about it no more. It's here. It's just up to you. What do you want to do? Come join us.
All right. See you guys next time.